Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of Andrewsfootball.com. If you watched my previous video, you know I went 2-1 this weekend. While I nailed both the Vikings-Lions games and the Chargers-Dallas game, I did miss on the over-under. Now that's okay because 2-1's not bad, but I'm going to break down the remaining 13 games for you this week, so stay tuned. First game I'm going to talk about is Cleveland going on the road at Cincinnati. They're an 8-point underdog. Now for this game, I really like Cincinnati to cover, but the better bet I think is the over-under. It's 38. Now, last time these two teams played, the score was 31-7, which of course equals 38. I'm not going to tell you that Cleveland looks better, but I think Cincinnati could really do better than they did last time. John Ross, I think, is going to be a factor in this game. And don't forget Joe Mixon, I think, is now the focal carrier. He could have a huge game, even though Cleveland's defense has been really good. The problem is with this team is that the offense has never gotten back on track. They're smart, and I think this is the plan. They're going to stay with Deshaun Kaiser for the next 5 games, give him a 5-game audition. The problem is if they don't win this game, they have a home game in 2 weeks after this against Green Bay. If they don't win either this game or the game against Green Bay without Aaron Rodgers, they're going to go 0-16, and then from there you're pretty much blowing everything up. So the ramifications of this game are that I think if Cleveland does not win this game, I think there's a very good chance they go winless, and then from there I think you're looking at cleaning the front office, coaching staff, and everything. So unfortunately for the Cleveland Browns and their fans, if you do want to bet this game, take the over and take Cincinnati in 8 points. Next game is a really fun game. This is Chicago traveling to Philly. They're a 14-point underdog. And the reason why this is a really fun game is that this to me smells like an upset special. The reason why is that Chicago has everything it takes to win on the road. They have a really good running game. They have a really good defense. And even though I've been very high on Philly for over a month, I'm still convinced, win or lose, that this is probably the best team in the NFC. I think they're primed for a fall. And this is the perfect time because John Fox is an experienced coach, a really good experienced defensive mind. There's a lot of talent on the Bears. I would not recommend betting this game, but if you are, definitely take the Bears. What I would do is I was going to bet $100 on the Bears. I would take a side bet and put a $25 on the Bears to win the game. You know, $750, that's a huge number. I don't think there's really that much of a difference between these two teams for this game. The Bears are obviously not a playoff team. The Eagles are the best team in the NFC. This to me has a smell of a game that's going to be surprisingly close, maybe just within a field goal. So I would definitely recommend taking the Bears on this one. And put a little side note here, as you can see, you're getting plus 750. So if you're going to bet 100 on this game, throw another 25 on the Bears to win the game. Next game is Miami traveling to New England. Miami is a 16.5-point underdog. And unfortunately for the Dolphins, they really deserve that number. Matt Moore is getting a second start of the year in place of Jay Cutler. Unfortunately, last time he started, they lost to Baltimore on a Monday night game by about 700 points. I'm exaggerating slightly. If I could give any advice on this game, I would advise to stay away from it because last time Matt Moore got a start for Miami, the whole team played bad. New England's more than capable of scoring, but these two teams usually play each other tough. This is a coin flip. I can make a case for either way. However, it's a cop-out to do that. If I had bet this game, I would actually take New England. I think it's going to be a blowout. That said, these teams are going to play in a couple weeks in Miami. I think the line's going to be very big. I'm going to say right now, put the money on Miami. In a few weeks, put the money on New England now. But just as a warning, I would advise against this. The line's too big. Too many crazy things could happen. But put a gun to my head, yeah, I'll take New England in the points. Next up is a really fun game. You got Tampa Bay on the road at Atlanta. Atlanta's a 9.5-point favorite. Now, quietly, Tampa Bay's won their last 2 games with Fitzpatrick as the quarterback. Now, I'm not suggesting that they're better off with Fitzpatrick as quarterback over Jameis Winston. I'm not saying that at all. But sometimes when you switch the quarterback up, you put the backup in there, the team kind of rallies, gets himself together. And keep in mind, Tampa Bay did this last year. They started off 3-5. Then in the middle of November, they ended up winning 5 straight into December. They're in the middle of that right now with 2 straight. Am I saying they're going to win this game? I'm not really sure. But Atlanta's been up and down all year, and Tampa Bay, over the last 2 years anyway, have a tendency to come on strong late. So I really like Tampa Bay to cover in this game. Do I think they're going to win? I think there's a good possibility. It depends on if the defense can continue to play good. And Atlanta, like I said, is very up and down. I like this game more to Atlanta being up and down, and after the big win on the West Coast at Seattle, I'm not sure they're going to be able to come back and sustain that at home. Now, there's also a very good chance that, hey, maybe they finally got everything clicking and they're going to start putting up 30-plus points again, 30-plus points a game again, and go on a Super Bowl run. So that's the reason why this is on my not-investing list, but I'm also making my prediction. I do like Tampa Bay in 9.5 in this game. Next up is a really fun game. Carolina's going to go to New York and play the Jets. Carolina's 5.5-point favorite. And I really like this matchup because the best way to beat Cam Newton is to have a very athletic, fast front seven. Basically what you want to do is prevent him from running. And with the linebackers that the Jets have, they can do that. Basically what you want to do is make Cam Newton into a pocket passer, but you have Greg Olsen coming back, and last week they played a lot of Curtis Samuel. He's having more of an impact on the game, and I really like that because both Curtis Samuel and Christian McCaffrey, they're not really running backs, they're not really receivers, but they do a little bit of both, and what they're trying to do is get Cam Newton to not throw so much downfield, but just dink and dunk, run the ball a little more, and kind of a move the chains type of offense instead of going downfield, which they were doing before. So I like the change up. Give a ton of credit to Mike Shula. He's done a fantastic job as the offensive coordinator. I'm liking the way New York, even though they've lost 4 out of 5, nobody thought that they would be 4-6 and playing for a possible wild card spot. That is correct. At 4-6, they have a chance for a wild card spot. Unfortunately, I think I like Carolina in this game. I think Carolina's really turning a corner. Defense is playing pretty good. The offense is really improving, and so is Cam Newton. I think this is going to be a fun game. And if the Jets do come out and win this game, they're back in a wild card spot. Carolina, win or lose, they're in a wild card spot. I say wild card because I think there's 0 chance they catch the Saints, but I do like Carolina to cover 5.5, but I think this is going to be a really fun, very interesting game and a great challenge for Cam Newton. Next up is Jacksonville traveling to Arizona. Jacksonville is a 5-point favorite on the road at Arizona, and this is going to be a really interesting game because Arizona has gone to Blaine Gabbert, and if you draw up what an NFL quarterback is supposed to look like, you get Blaine Gabbert, former Jacksonville quarterback. It's kind of funny because in Bortles you get somebody who's very similar to Blaine Gabbert. Both these guys are big, fast, can make a lot of throws, but I've really seen them struggle. And even though with the success Jacksonville's had, it's almost a foregone conclusion that they're going to move on from Bortles after this year. Now, on the Arizona side, Larry Fitzgerald has averaged over 100 yards receiving in the last 2 games, but Adrian Peterson has 55 yards total. Now, Jalen Ramsey's not playing in this game, which is a good thing for Fitzgerald and Gabbert, but Jacksonville has one of the best defenses in the league, and the running game hasn't been able to get going. This is a tough game because everything logically tells you that Jacksonville's gonna win this game, probably win this game big. The defense is playing good. You got Gabbert, who has some starting experience, but over the last couple of years has been a backup, kind of bouncing around different teams. I also remember that in watching him in preseason, wow, he looked fantastic. Everything logically tells me Jacksonville will cover, but I'm picking Arizona. I just got a feeling that they're just going to run the ball. They're going to be able to keep this game close, and without the number one corner, Fitzgerald's, I think, going to have another big game. I think Gabbert's just going to throw a lot of balls to him, and he's going to have a big game. I think Peterson's going to break out of this little mini slump, and they may win this game. Logically speaking, everything's looking towards Jacksonville. It's just every time I try to say, I want to tell you, hey, Jacksonville, it doesn't come out because something in this game looks like an upset to me. So I'm taking Arizona in 5 points. Not a game I recommend. You got your star corner who's out. Fitzgerald is hot. So there's a lot of conflicts, but I'm taking Arizona in 5 points. Next up, you have a very, very good game. You have the Denver Broncos traveling to Oakland. Denver Broncos are a 5-point underdog in this game. The Denver Broncos are going to bring out Paxton Lynch and get a start at the Oakland Coliseum. Not a easy place to play. He's not a rookie, but his starting experience has been very limited his first 2 years. Even though the Raiders' defense is a little weak, playing in that type of environment is always tough. And then you have Khalil Mack. There's very few pass rushers as good as him. So this is going to be very interesting because out of the quarterbacks that have started this year, Paxton Lynch is obviously the most physically gifted. But after being a first-round pick and being there for almost 2 years, he's not been named a starter. Normally what happens is when you draft a quarterback that high and you sit him for a year two he comes in and starts. But that hasn't been the case. Even Led Osweiler, a guy that situation's a little different, but he started 3 games before they decided to go with Paxton Lynch. And what it looks like Denver's going to do is give him a 5-game audition. If you listen to my videos, you know that there's going to be a lot of talent coming into the NFL from college. It could be as many as 6 quarterbacks go in the first round. So Denver, with the record the way they are right now, if they continue to slide, Joseph could possibly be gone. But Denver will be in a perfect opportunity to pick up a top-tier quarterback coming out of college, or Paxton Lynch will get a chance to turn this team around. Maybe they let Jamal Charles run the ball a little more. I'm not really sure. I like the Raiders to cover in this game, but all Denver needs is average quarterback play for them to really turn things around over the last couple of weeks. That's why I'm not really recommending this game, because I want to see what Lynch does. Apparently they're building the game plan completely around what he does well, and he's easily the most athletically gifted quarterback for Denver to put out this year. It's just for whatever reason he hasn't been able to get things together. I will say this. I remember before the draft started, they were talking about him, and everybody said the same thing. They say he's a different type of guy. And that's not really what you want to hear. You want to hear he's a leader, he's a winner, he's the guy people rally behind. But almost universally, all you heard was the same thing. They keep saying he's a different type of guy. To me, that's a huge red flag. And a lot of people thought Kansas City was interested in him. I don't think they were. I think they told people that they were interested. They brought him in twice, but I think they met with him. They said the same thing that everybody else said. He's a different type of guy. And I think that's a large part of the reason why he hasn't been able to grasp an NFL offense, and that's speculation on my part. But there's a very good reason why he hasn't gotten the job until the season is essentially over for the Denver Broncos. So this is going to be very interesting, especially being a Chiefs fan, to watch these two teams go at it. But if I was going to bet on this game, I would definitely take the Raiders in 5 points, a relatively small line for them being at home against a team that it really looks bad right now. Next up, we got Pittsburgh at home to Green Bay on Sunday Night Football. Green Bay, with their struggles, are a 2-touchdown underdog in this game. Last week they got shut out by Baltimore at home. So the 2-touchdown spread is perfectly justified. However, I think that this game is going to be a lot closer than 2 touchdowns. I actually think this is going to be an extremely entertaining, very close game. Even though Pittsburgh's won 5 games straight. Go back to 2 weeks ago where they barely beat the Colts. They probably should have lost that game. Scores 20-17. It's one trend Pittsburgh does. They constantly play down to their competition. I think this will happen again, and I also think Green Bay is going to come in really pissed off and play really tough. Hundley's an athletic kid. I think they're going to make the game plan a little dumbed down, take advantage of a defense that's not as good as Baltimore, but still not bad. And I think this is going to be a game that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I fully expect Pittsburgh to come out in the end, but Green Bay covers 14. Finally, you have Monday Night Football in my beautiful hometown of Baltimore. You have the Houston Texans as a 7-point underdog traveling to Baltimore. And what's really interesting is that even though neither one of these teams have a winning record, both these teams are fighting for that last wild card spot. With a surprise win last week, Houston at 4-6 with a win here, are right back in that competition to get that number 6 seed, while Baltimore, I think, is the team in the AFC that nobody wants them to get into the playoffs because they're so up and down, but the defense can just be flat out scary. And Flacco is a quarterback who's won a Super Bowl before with a similar type of situation. Could Baltimore get hot and make it into the playoffs? Absolutely. They're the team that I think is really the team nobody wants to see get into the playoffs because that defense is so good. They can travel well, they can play on the road, and they also have in Flacco with a big arm and fast receivers the potential to score at any time. So I think that everybody in the AFC is secretly pulling for Houston, who at 4-6 is mathematically alive, but with their injuries that they've had on both sides of the football, they are not a legitimate threat. I of course like Baltimore in this game. I think Baltimore's going to get hot, and I think they're going to make a push. I was very adamant in my last video. I think San Diego's going to get, I am so sorry, Los Angeles is going to get that final wild card spot, but as of right now, that final wild card spot would actually go to Baltimore over Buffalo. So for Monday Night Football, I like the Baltimore Ravens to go ahead and
So if you made it to
this part of the video, I said I was going to break down 13 games, but I only broke down 9. So basically what I'm telling you is that there's 4 games left that I would recommend putting action on, and I'm starting off with the game I will be attending at Arrowhead Stadium. That is the Buffalo Bills will be traveling to play the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, it started off as a 9.5-point game. It jumped up to 10. It seemed that after the Chiefs signed Darrelle Revis, that the line jumped that extra half a point. I'm not sure if that's exactly what happened, but it seemed to work out that way. I'm going to tell you this right now. I know Buffalo lost big, and they've lost 3 games straight, but they have a better defense. They possibly have a better running game. I think at this point in the season, they do have a better running game. Now, a few weeks ago, I would have told you, no, the Kansas City Chiefs have a better running game, but this is hard for me to do, but I would take the Bills. I would put money on it. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game, but I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be like 24-17. I think it could be something crazy like, 23-18 or something weird like that. But I think you're going to come within a touchdown, so I get the extra couple of points. So the first game I'm going to break down, pick against my Kansas City Chiefs. Take the Bills and 10 points because they are going to cover that. The second game I would strongly recommend putting action on is Indianapolis are hosting the Tennessee Titans. It opened up as a 3.5-point favorite. It dropped down to 3. The Tennessee Titans aren't coming off of a bye, but they played Pittsburgh on Thursday night, a game that I called incorrectly. But Indianapolis is coming off of a complete bye, so they have a little more rest, but I really do not think it matters. I know they barely lost to Pittsburgh, a game that, I'm telling you right now, watch that game. Pittsburgh came in completely flat and came out Thursday and just beat the snot out of a much better Tennessee Titans team, and that's the whole thing. The Tennessee Titans are much better. They're going to go ahead and they're just going to run the ball. They're going to play good defense. I don't expect Tennessee to blow them out, but are they going to cover 3? Absolutely. I think this is going to be kind of a 24-13 type of game. I don't see a way that the Colts offense really gets on track. As much as I hate to say it, I think Pagano's probably going to be gone I know that they had a bye week, but I think it's just a situation where they're not going to come back really rip-roaring ready to go. I think that this is a situation where the Colts are going to come out flat, and the Tennessee Titans could have possibly 200 yards rushing because both running backs are big, physical against a smaller front seven for the Colts. So I strongly recommend first pick against my Chiefs, then go ahead and pick Tennessee, and that will put me at 2-0. The third game I got is Seattle traveling to San Francisco. Seattle's a 6.5-point favorite. Now, normally I wouldn't do this because you got a division rival traveling on the road, a away favorite by 6.5, a decent number. Richard Sherman out for the year has really kind of impacted this team. Not only that, Seattle, after playing on Monday night. All these things said, I am picking Seattle to cover. This is a game I really like. The reason why I really like this game is Seattle has the better defense. The one thing about San Francisco, I mean, they traded a second-round pick for Garoppolo, a very high second-round pick, something you don't want to do. If you watch that video, that was something I felt like Bill Belichick just kind of swindled San Francisco. Yes, I'm aware they did not... or they went ahead and won a game, so they're not going to finish winless, but this is not a good team. Seattle's still a playoff team. They're still in the hunt, even though at 6-4, they're really on the outside looking in, but I see no way that they don't cover 6.5. Matter of fact, this could be a blowout. I think it's going to be a game, maybe relatively close, but I think it's going to be something like 24-10, 24-7, 24-3, possibly 27-10. But I feel extremely confident Seattle will go ahead and cover. I know there's a lot of negatives. Monday night, road favorite, divisional rival. But Seattle usually bounces back from a tough loss with a big win. I expect them to be very motivated and cover 6.5. Last but completely not least, probably the best game of the week is going to be the New Orleans Saints traveling to LA to play the Rams. Saints are a 2.5-point underdog, and it's really ironic because the Saints are going to be the team that has the better defense in this game. Dennis Allen, he's done a fantastic job with the Saints defense. Of course, they also went ahead and added a bunch of players, and all of them have worked out. And now Wade Phillips, former Broncos coordinator, yeah, being a Chiefs fan, I'm really glad to see Wade Phillips go because he's done a fantastic job with the Rams defense. But the main reason behind the Rams resurgence is the offense is playing awesome, and team MVP Andrew Whitworth has done a great job because if you watch Andrewsfootball, you know how important the left tackle is. The left tackle is probably the second most important, maybe even more important than the quarterback. How well your offense and team's going to go. So adding Andrew Whitworth is the main reason the Los Angeles Rams have turned things around, and they're putting themselves in an excellent position to be in the playoffs. I'm not sure that they're going to win that division, but it's going to be a real interesting chase between them and the Seahawks. Unfortunately for the Rams, what do I always say? If the line's under 3, 2.5 like it is in this case, go ahead and pick the better team. I think the Saints are the better team. But what I would recommend is that I think the Saints are going to win straight up. You can go ahead and take the 2.5, but I really don't think in a team with the offenses the way they are, 2.5 is really just a coin flip. You can go ahead and take 2.5, but I take the money line. Just take 105. Bet 100 to win 105. Versus betting 110 to win 100. You can do either way, but the Saints are going to win this game. So in conclusion, I gave you 4 games this week. For Thanksgiving, I was 2-1. I'm hopefully going to go 4-0 this week. So we'll have to see how that goes. By the way, if you're a subscriber, I want to thank you for subscribing and, of course, liking it, because how can you not like all this great content? So thanks to some of the greatest people on planet Earth for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, bam! Just go ahead and hit that button. There's a little red subscribe box right below there. So go ahead and just hit that. And until next time.